Can you hear me now? Please tell me you can hear me now. Don't do this to me, life. Am I streaming live? Can you hear my audio? Let me hear you one time. Under the sea. Anybody? Hello? Man, this is like the worst idea ever if this is not going to work for the second time. Am I streaming live? Can you hear my audio? Let me hear you. Yes, awesome. Welcome, web developers. Sorry for the technical difficulty. I was having a boomer moment getting my wallpaper set up. I'm feeling very aquatic today. I have too much fun with this. I was on Canva last night looking at different videos to put for a background on Zoom. Like, I need to get in this work from home mode and just have ridiculous backgrounds. It was a toss up between Under the Sea, Ariel, and a pond. So either way, for my aquatic peeps, here's to you. How's everyone doing on this Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Saturday morning for some of us? Welcome to the live stream. We are taking it another day here on the channel, one live stream per day or premiere, mostly live streams until we hashtag flatten the curve. Paradoodly-doo is our mod at large. Thank you, Paradoodly, for joining us. Today is really just going to be a freestyle. Honestly, I saw this Zoom background thing and I'm like, I should do a live stream with this. I really don't have a set topic, but we're going to be talking about just about anything. This is a total freestyle video. Even though I do have some notes here of stuff I want to eventually segue to. But as usual, we got to go to the chat and we got to see what is going on with the peeps. Welcome, everyone. Vlaslo says, burst the underwater bubble. Bloop, bloop. What's up, Alex? Smokey Goddenson. Gotta hide the kids, hide the wife. What's up? What's up, Michael Hamilton? Thomas Namood. We want candy. Donovan says, we got to stop meeting like this. Every time I log off from work, I get a notification that you're live. Are you spying on me, RealToughCandy? Donovan, if I told you, there would be no more mystery to it. So I can't tell you. Michael Hamilton says, failed my Boolean logic test. Hopefully I passed next time. Was that for an interview, Michael? Tell us. Boolean logic test. Was that at the interview they gave that to you? Let us know. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. We made it another week. If you haven't been tuning into these live streams, you've really been missing out. Yesterday, I had such a great time on the live stream. We were doing a lightning Q&A with two active software interviewers, Lucen and Adam, and they rocked it. I had so much positive feedback from people. Basically, they took questions from the audience about interviewing. And I was there kind of facilitating it, but they were really the stars of the show. Paradoodly-doo, for those who have missed it, pop that link in the comment section, please, because it was total fire. Lucen had come on the previous week to do a mock interview with two junior developers. But this time around, they were doing simulations and answering questions for the world to see, and just so much information there if you're an aspiring developer. You don't have to be aspiring for a FANG position, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, etc. A lot of their information applies to just about everyone who is going to or who is actively searching for a job in software. So don't miss it. All the live streams too, I have timestamps. Some people are like, wow, you take forever to get to the point when they watch the replay. It's like, yeah, because it's a live stream. Check the timestamps. Save you some time there. Because under normal circumstances, I usually would do a 10-minute video, but these are for the community. We like to have fun in the lives, take some questions, talk with the folks. Now, what is going on with everyone? Michael said he had a Boolean logic interview and he did not do so good on that, but we're rooting for him for next time. He said for App Academy. Okay, so this is for App Academy. He's doing the 24-week full stack course. Yeah, App Academy, it's a tough one. They're tough. What's up, Shaw? How goes it? Vlaslo says, best virtual background for Zoom is the shining hallway. Should I use that one next time? I'm trying to get subscribers. I'm not trying to lose them. I love it. But I have a feeling like my subscriber list would go like this as soon as we had the shining background on this channel. It's already terrifying enough. Vlaslo says, got to be part of the first job interview round at my work, so having fun with that. Cool. So you're saying you're interviewing candidates right now? Good for you. It's an interesting perspective. When I was in enterprise, I was also part of the interview process as far as I was one of the interviewees. I wasn't the main interviewee or interviewer rather, sorry. I was one of the interviewers, not the main one. But it is such a great experience because you can see it from a different perspective as an agent of your employer, and you can really take the pressure off yourself because, let me shut this door. Let me shut my coral door. You're not the one who is feeling spastic or feeling nervous about getting interviewed. It's such a different perspective. And that is something that all developers should be considering once they get their first job. If you're able to be part of the interview as an interviewer or just sitting in on it, definitely try and do that because it's such a great perspective. Madukoma blessed, what's up? TGIF indeed. Blickus ADS, hello, new subscriber here, love your content. Thanks for tuning in, Blickus, and welcome. Vlaslo says, yes, culture fit and not hard tech questions, more like how do you solve problems and how do you approach things? Yeah, and as we were talking about yesterday in the live stream with Lucen and Adam, technical interviews vary by company. It's very easy to be intimidated by the raw coding interview when someone's just like, okay, yeah, create a palindrome using JavaScript. What? Some companies do ask those questions. Some companies are more holistic in their approach. A lot of companies do multiple interviews. Some companies never ask tech questions. It really comes down to your company and what they're looking for in a candidate. Because even as the two yesterday alluded to, the stuff that you're being asked in the interview, you usually don't apply. I don't know, did we discuss this? I might be planting my ideas in their mouths, so don't quote me on this. So I'll just say this on my behalf. Most of the crap they ask you at an interview when it comes to technical questions, you're never gonna use on the job. You're never gonna rotate a 2D matrix 90 degrees on the job. Yano says, reminds me of the Windows 98 underwater theme. Yes. GTD, how is it going? Being the interviewer is the easier side of the table, no doubt. Also, shout out to GTD. Yesterday, after that interview live stream, GTD upped his Patreon pledge to this channel. It was very pleasant to see. So thank you, GT, for your support, and thank you for my other patrons for your financial support. You make these videos possible. The Friday fish fry is of my own doing, but as far as the other videos, me being able to take the time to do those vids and organize everything, it's because I have the financial means to apply to RTC, and I'm trying to make it so RTC is completely self-sustaining. You know, and I have, obviously this is part of my business, so I do put money into it, but the bulk of it comes from either patrons, YouTube channel members, and YouTube ad revenue. So thank you. Pop K Dodge says, hey RTC, I just signed up for Lambda full-time data science course. I am so excited. Good for you. Pop K, keep me updated on that. Lambda, I have really heard some seriously mixed results. I've heard good things. I've heard like not so good things. I've heard intermediate things. And honestly, it's one of their curriculum is something I haven't even accessed or researched all that much. I've just mostly heard stories. So I'm always interested in hearing firsthand impressions of these places rather than reading a press release. GTD says, yep, technical interviewing is definitely a spectrum. I try to avoid the crack the coding interview style, but still check. You mean this thing? Now, this might be a good place to reference this. I actually published, we have published now, I didn't write the article. One of my employees did, one of my contractors did, wrote a review on cracking the coding interview on my website. I own this book. I think it's a great book. This green screen thing, this cracking the coding interview is more built to be a green screen than an actual book. It's really funny. Cracking the Coding Interview is a great book. However, as I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, there is such an opportunity cost for juniors reading that book. But if you're looking to get a job with the FANG, they do ask these questions because it is a filtering tool. They can ask these questions because they're Google, because they're Amazon. And honestly, even though the book gets a glowing endorsement on RealToughCandy.com, there's a few things wrong with it. Number one, it's not good for juniors who aren't seeking FANG level jobs, or a small segment of startups who are increasingly referring to cracking the coding interview for questions. And number two, the book is wholly, with the exception of one chapter, the book is written in Java. There is, in chapter 12, there's a section on C and C++. But yeah, even still, the introduction has the introduction has great tips for interviewing just in general. So it's nice. Nobody K says, RTC, have you seen the latest course by Colt Steele? He's giving it away on his YouTube channel. Nobody, I've seen it, but is it good? I mean, I've seen the thumbnails and I've clicked on it for like 10, 15 seconds just to see if it was him narrating it and producing it, etc. But I haven't seen it. I don't know, what does he teach? I've seen a lot of HTML and CSS stuff, and I see this is what happens with tutorial videos in multiple parts. The first one is absolutely explosive. And then there is definitely a visible diminishing return where you just, the second video has less, the third video has even less, the fourth video. So he has this series, and last time I checked, each one has less and less, which is too bad, because that just says that a lot of people are losing interest and falling on the wayside there. So, but other than that, I don't really know much about it. Donovan says, do you use Linux RTC? If so, what is your favorite flavor of Linux? That is a great question. I do use Linux, not on the daily, but a few years ago, I was really into cybersecurity. And that was my first exposure to Linux and the different flavors. Now, I will tell you, I was afraid to use Linux because I thought it was just the command line. And this was before I knew anything about anything, right? So I was just like, well, this is for a certain sector of really smart people, and like, I'll never be able to learn it. Linux is not like that at all, especially with some of these newbie-friendly flavors. Ubuntu, Mint, there's maybe one or two others, but Ubuntu and Mint are usually the two newbie-friendly ones. And I had this old just beater of a compact laptop I got at Walmart for like 200 bucks. And I bought it and I wasn't using it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put Ubuntu on this and see what happens. So I put Ubuntu on it, and right away I thought it was so awesome because first of all, they have games on there, like good games like Mahjong, and different games that are on your computer rather than having to go to the internet. And like, that was the thing about Windows, was it Windows 10 or even earlier, where you didn't have games on your system. You had to go to their store and like sign up for an account and all this other crap. With Linux, it was like, these games are right here. And so I know it probably sounds trivial, but it was a cool thing because the games were fun for me. And just the GUI is pretty easy to use, and you don't have to get too crazy with it. So that's when I started experimenting with the terminal, and started, at the same time I was learning more about software development. So I was using Ubuntu. I've used different ones. I have a virtual machine on this Mac, and I've installed like, oh geez, Debian. I've probably like 4 or 5 other ones. Debian, Kali Linux, well, just Kali. Kali's for cybersecurity. That distro is sweet. If you like hacking, check out Kali, K-A-L-I. It's a really neat distro. Mint, I messed around with a little bit, but I say probably, just from my experience, because I don't use I don't use Ubuntu daily. I don't use the different distros on the daily, but I'd probably say probably Ubuntu. I mean, it's just so easy to use. And I just have good memories with it because it's the first one that I got exposed to Linux with. And it's just so easy to use. What about you? What are some distros? What are some flavors people are using? Donovan says, Ubuntu is my favorite. Ubuntu is very newbie friendly. I would recommend it for people who want to get used to the terminal yet have a GUI. Exactly. Listen to what Donovan is saying in this chat because he is totally right. If you're not feeling Ubuntu, check out Mint. But those are the two. Ubuntu? She pronounced Ubuntu. I don't know how to pronounce half of these things. Like if people would just like pick normal names. It's what is Ubuntu? It's like, it's Swahili for friendship. I mean, I guess it's not that outlandish, but coming from an American perspective, I was just like, what does that say? At least I could pronounce Mint. Yana says, I recommend VMware to play with Linux in a safe environment. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to do a screen share on the Zoomcast because I will certainly break something. But I have a virtual box on my desktop here or on my Mac. And when you have that virtual machine, you can put on different distros. For example, geez, what was I have a tutorial actually, Paradoodly-doo, pop that link. If people are interested in getting set up with Linux. We set up Ubuntu on VirtualBox. It's a step-by-step tutorial. It's one of my most popular videos on this channel. So yeah, check it out for those of you interested. And like Donovan said, it's very newbie friendly. And if you want to get used to the terminal, but at the same time have a graphical user interface so you're not feeling terrified. That was my big thing. I just thought it was going to be one big terminal. So I avoided it for a very long time. But once I was rolling with it, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad at all. Yvonne Zinn says, the Odin project recommends using Linux. I'm currently on Windows. Should I dual boot virtual machine, Linux subsystem on Windows, just delete Windows and use Linux? I mean, all of those are on the table right now. If you want to play it safe, I would say WSL. Just get that going. That way you have the GUI of Windows 10. If Windows 10 does anything right, it's their GUI. Other than that, I don't care for Windows 10. I think it's bloatware. I think it's a terrible OS. But I think the GUI is great. With WSL, you get the power of Linux, but then you get that familiar Windows 10 GUI. So my first recommendation just right off the bat would be to enable WSL. What are the other choices you threw out there? Dual boot, virtual machine, just delete Windows and use Linux. I mean, I deleted Windows and went with Linux on my Compaq because it was a beater computer. I didn't have anything important on there. I could break stuff. All those things you mentioned is an option, but I would try WSL. I think that's your safest bet. And then from there, if you're feeling it, you can expand and just go completely Linux. Linux is just so powerful. We hear about it all the time in web development, just different Linux commands and the terminal and all this stuff. And what are these little columns, these pipes? What do they do? What's a tilde? These different commands and stuff. Sammy says, what up, Sammy? The one thing that you might want to steal from Linux for Windows is Bash. Just install Git Bash. Yeah. Jeff Grinley, how's it going? Good to see you again. Also, you can boot from a USB drive to get familiar. Yeah, that's another one too. I used to read 2600. Or was it 2400 or 2600? Let me check. I think it's 2600. Hold on. Yeah, 2600. Does anyone recognize that name? They actually sell them at Barnes & Noble. It's a quarterly hacker magazine. I bought that in May 2016. I bought that in May 2015 or 2016, and my life was forever changed. It's a pretty juvenile zine, if I may say so, for hackers. But it was just such a different perspective, and it blew my mind. I don't know where I was going with the 2600 magazine. It had something to do with Sammy Turner's comment. I don't know. Oh, Jeff Grinley's comment. You can boot from a USB drive. That's it. Because that was one of their tutorials in the 2600 meg. They had, what was it? Kill.python on a USB drive. So what happens is some of these people really want to evade everything. So you boot your OS with the USB, and then you take it out and it just kills the computer or something like that. It was just this crazy thing that someone had made. Don't quote me. My brain is shot from 2600. Kango 71 2600. Ayo. Jorge Acosta says, yesterday's live stream was great, new here, but I left feeling insecure about being 35 and starting to self-learn coding, Python. I live in the US. If anyone has any success stories to share with me. Yes, Jorge, we have a lot, not a huge amount, but we do have some numbers of people who have made the career switch later in life. I'm talking 30s, 40s, 50s. I have some people here in their 60s. I have one guy who is 70 something, and he recently left a comment about learning, I think it was C++ on one of my videos. But as far as the job, connecting with an employer, I would like to hear some more people come out of the woodwork with that too, because it's one thing to teach yourself how to code. You know, that dogma, that mantra, anyone can code, anyone can teach themselves to code. I think most people have established that fact, whether through marketing channels or somewhere else. But as far as anyone can get a job, that's not something we are hearing a lot of. And it's not to say that people aren't getting jobs. There's plenty of jobs out there. There's definitely room for you. But I would like to see more people talk about getting employed at an older age, because we do have there. George Meehan, yesterday at the video, he asked about some tips for age discrimination and ageism. It's a very real thing, and it sucks. And you know, when people are judging you the minute you walk in based on how old you look, it's like, it's so vain. It sucks. It really sucks. Code Zero says, I started at 30, self-taught. Are you currently employed in the industry, Code Zero? I am looking for people who are career changers later in life. Alberto Ruiz says, I'm 23. Any career advice you wished you knew when you were this age? Geez, Alberto, like, you're already thinking about an actual career. I didn't think, when I was 23, you know what I was doing? Hey, must be the money. Like, that was my lifestyle for a long time. Now, fortunately, I live to tell about it. But what I'm drinking right now isn't Jack and Coke. When I was 23, it'd be a much different story. All I can tell you is that you're already on the right path. Like, you're watching a live stream about software development at age 23. At my age, I would think that is just like so ridiculous. And I have nothing to show for it. I have nothing to show for my life when I was making those decisions. So I don't have any particular advice for you right off the bat. All that I know is that you're on the right track. Checking out software development videos on a Friday night on YouTube, where there is nothing but distraction after distraction. For those of us who have just tuned in, I want to say welcome to the Friday Fish Fry for software developers here on the RealToughCandy channel. We started off with some technical problems. We had an anglerfish crawl up into the audio jack and do some terrible things to it, but we're back, we're live. This live stream is totally unstructured. We're taking questions, we're talking about things, talking about Linux. Donovan had a great question about Linux. We're talking about ageism, we're talking about career changes today on the channel, where we are doing a live stream every day until we flatten the curve. It could be a few weeks, it could be a few months. So I want to especially give a welcome to all my new subscribers. It's great seeing new people here. Pop K Dodge says, wait, people don't plan ahead 10 years? Yeah, right. Man, this is so funny. When I was, okay, I have a story about when I was 23. Actually, it was when I was 21. I was working at the Postal Service, and one of my friends that I met there, he was 27. We were having lunch one day in the break room, and he starts talking about retirement, about how he needs to get more hours in for his retirement. And I wanted to strangle myself. Like, I couldn't think of anything more trite than retirement because I was so focused on the here and the now and the immediate gratification of whatever was in front of me. I mean, people who do plan it that far ahead, people who are planning for retirement, it's like, whoa, you have your life. It seems like you have your life together. For some people, it comes naturally, but as someone who has been, life circumstances have forced me to live in the moment for most of my life. However, now that things have calmed down a little, I'm able to plan a little more ahead, and it's such a good feeling to be in somewhat control of where you want to see yourself in a few months, a few years, and a few decades. Now, I have to be totally honest. In a few decades, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, and I haven't even thought about it. I have thought about it, but I haven't made any concrete plans. But as far as 4 and 5 years from now, I do know where I want to be. And it's looking pretty good as far as me planning this out and doing things and going for it. As GTD's username suggests, getting things done. And it's such a difference compared to when I was in my early 20s. Great comments today. Sandra Cooper, welcome to the live. Day of Buddha Dev. Let's go to these comments. Welcome everyone. Code Zero, how goes it? George Meehan, back in business. How are you, my friend? Sammy Turner says, RTC, my 20s sound like yours, LOL. Yeah, you know, Sammy, we may have met at one of those parties, at one of those epic parties. Well, I mean, I wouldn't remember it, but it's possible. I'm in my 40s now. Yeah, Sammy Turner making the career change in her 40s as well. Very active on the RTC Discord. And if anyone's interested in joining, it's a small community. It's a very fun community of people of all abilities. Paradoodly do, pop that link. I'm having way too much fun with this background. Let's go to some more comments. Alberto says, I'm in my first job. I do general IT and some web dev. I got out of university last December 2019. Yeah, IT is a great entry level exposure to web development. We talked about this. It was my 9 easiest strategies for getting a job in web development. IT was one of them. Help desk was one of them. IT/help desk. And Donovan also worked help desk. There are a lot of people. Gabe the Fifth, I think, worked help desk. Many other people too. So it's good. Michael says, gotta have a plan. Makes the journey so much fun. Also steers you away from the BS you don't need. Exactly. There's just so much BS. Half of it is our making. Most of it is our making, in my opinion. At least in my experience. Delt says, I got dumped and working through it by restructuring my time. I'm still young. I'm fighting a bug right now while listening to you guys. Delt, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. But it's just like this thing right now when we are quarantined, like a lot of us have a lot of time on our hands now that we don't have these pressing responsibilities. Whether it's a relationship that went bad, a job that we no longer have, or a position in our lives where we're just feeling hopeless, there's always time for us. And now that we're in this quarantine thing, there's plenty more time. And it's really great to see. There are some, I mean, this really stinks right now in our current status across the world, but so many people are getting things done. It's awesome. So many people are talking to their families again. How many people have I encountered over the last few weeks who are reading books, getting projects done? Even in my neighborhood, we're not supposed to even be outside chitter chatter. Like, it is a stay at home, get your butt home, do not leave. People are still talking to each other from a distance. People are out doing housework. People are improving their homes. And it's just like, there is some good from it, even though it's a terrible situation. So yeah, even if it's only 5 minutes, there were some nights where I didn't want to code at all. And it's just like, oh, I'm so sick of learning about the execution stack. Make it stop. Oh, it was just so much information. But I said, I just have to do 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I'll take a walk and do 5 minutes. Other nights, I absolutely could not do anything. But when I would just a few minutes does make such a difference. Callie162, hey RTC, how hard is C# and .NET and the new Blazor stuff? Is it possible to learn both regular web development and .NET? Because I see a lot more .NET job ads. Great question. Callie162, I am not qualified to answer that question. Hopefully we have some .NET people in the chat, because my .NET, my Blazor stuff has just been strictly very superficial. I've read a few documents. I've played around with Hello World or something. I've talked to a few people about Blazor. From what I've read and from the very limited experience I have, it seems pretty cool. There are a lot of .NET jobs out there. Unfortunately, because .NET isn't like the hip new thing, you don't see a lot of love for it, but the job numbers don't lie. A lot of these enterprise businesses have legacy applications in .NET, or they're trying to build stuff in Blazor because Blazor is like really cool. You can build full stack C# apps with Blazor. So rad. Full stack, front end, back end with C#. Billmaster66 says, are you still teaching yourself? If so, what are you learning? Billmaster, that's a great question. And yes, I am still teaching myself. I try to, I mean, I am in a career position right now where I have to keep on top of things as far as new trends, trends that are no longer, jobs, all sorts of stuff, new frameworks. Oh my God. Plus I do I do contract work with training, and I do contract with video training as well. So a lot of these topics I've never heard of, and I have to go research them and play with them and make something important out of them, make something significant and of value for other people. So for example, one thing I was reading about the other night was Deno, or there's an example of another word I have no idea how to pronounce. Deno or D-E-N-O, JS. What else? WebAssembly. That's a personal interest of mine. I wouldn't say I've been teaching myself that. A lot of my self-teaching in 2020, these past few months, has been the business side. I've been reading a lot of business books, reading a lot of business blogs. But as far as actual tech, unfortunately, I haven't been spending as much time as I want learning new stuff, or getting deeper into some stuff with JavaScript. JavaScript is a real tricky language for me, but I would like to learn more. And we were doing a JavaScript book roundup the other night. Let me see if I can get some really cool green screen action with this book. Can you guys see this? Oh, this is so rad. Object-oriented JavaScript. I would love to crack this book open and see what this guy's saying about object-oriented JavaScript like 5 years after I bought this book. This is by Stoyan Stebanov. This is on Pack Publishing. An older book. Let's see. 2008, it's pretty old, but object-oriented programming is pretty much, I mean, it's pretty static, you know what I mean? It's not going anywhere. There isn't going to be anything revolutionary anytime soon with JavaScript OOP because of, you know, stuff like prototypes. So that is something I would like to go back to and teach myself more of. But as far as like enrolling in actual courses, I really don't do them for self-learning. I'm more of a, because I do have so much, I'm just so freaking overwhelmed. I can't sit down for a video these days. I'd like to, but I just can't for a full one anyway. GTD says there are some free Discord servers for C# too. Sweet. GTD also says, hit up the RTC Discord for some .NET advice and thoughts. Yeah, GTD knows his stuff or her stuff. So definitely stop by the Discord. And there are just so many people willing to help. It's great community. Billmaster66 says, I really don't like .NET. Mike Roch says, how long can you hold your breath? Well, according to YouTube, 46 minutes. We've already been streaming 33 minutes, sorry. According to YouTube, I can hold my breath for 33 minutes. I'm so obsessed with this background, it's so fun. Kristen Marcus says, I teach high school English, but I got the coding bug 2 years ago. I created an elective class in coding, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What else should I learn in order to someday create apps for education? I would say, Christian, that is a great question. If you are coding courses, An elective class. Okay, I see. I created an elective class in coding. What else should I learn in order to someday create apps for education? I would say get familiar with UX UI principles, because that is GUIs and user experiences for teens and young adults is different than grown adults. Did you say what age group you are teaching for? High school English? Okay. I would explore UX and UI for teens. And I want Paradoodly-Doo to link to this channel. This is my absolute top recommendation for UX UI on YouTube. It's the Nielsen Norman group. This is the same group that brought you, is it 10 or 12 heuristics for user experience? Is a pivotal document from the 90s that explains the ultimate, it is an ultimate checklist, the ultimate must-haves in a pleasant UX UI experience. It's such a universal document. But they have UX UI, very digestible videos, 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes 5. They have a UX UI video for teens. I would check that out. Get good with UX UI. I would also say try checking out a framework. It's going to make your life easier if you're going to be building apps. You said you taught yourself JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, I would say a framework. There are so many choices. React. Sammy Turner's here, so you know I have to reference Svelte. Svelte's a newer one. It's super fast. The syntax is pretty great. There's Angular. There's also Vue. There's just so many. But I would say check out a framework. Do yourself a solid and get familiar with UX UI. Link, Paradoodly-Doo, just pop that link to the Nielsen Norman group. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite channels. They're well-produced. Nielsen Norman has been around for decades, and they know what they're talking about. They give away so much free information. It's absolutely insane. GTD says, yep, TypeScript is love over JavaScript. That's another thing I want to start learning more about, TypeScript. I started playing with it when I was working in enterprise, but I never really got to that point where I was feeling good and groovy with it. George Meehan Dev says, Coding Foundry teaches a coding bootcamp that focuses on C# and .NET and web development. Yeah, you know, that was something that really surprised me about that bootcamp. One of their videos is viral on YouTube, and I found out about them that way. But it's one of the only ones that teaches .NET and C#, and it's so surprising to me because .NET it's so in demand, at least in the States. I can't speak for other countries, but in my area, especially the Midwest, a lot of these tech companies got started in the mid-90s. And when it comes to the web, going back to that era, .NET was where it was at. And so we have a lot of legacy stuff, but we're also seeing a lot. Microsoft is coming correct, people. Microsoft has been really upping its game these last few years. Hello, GitHub, VS Code, the Windows Terminal. Now they just, so they own GitHub, and GitHub bought NPM or acquired NPM. So technically owned, I guess you could kind of say owned by Microsoft. They've been really coming correct with their tools. Also WSL, the list really goes on. So .NET is not your grandfather's framework or technology. Christian Marcus says, thanks, I have an MS in Ed Tech where we focus on UX UI principles. Oh, great. Of course, I could definitely learn more. I'm not an expert just yet at JS, but steadily trying to get there. Yeah, and you don't have to be an expert, Christian. It's like, seriously, JavaScript is one of those languages. I really only see about 1 or 2 people in the entire world who are truly experts. One of those people is, let me see if I have it here. He is the author of this excellent book series. Where is it? Come on, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. We're gonna green screen the heck out of this book too. Kyle Simpson, this guy really knows JavaScript. I mean, he knows it. I might even say he knows it top to bottom. Kyle Simpson, also, if you're looking for more theoreticals, there's a great course on Udemy. It's the only one that doesn't ever need to be updated. It is, oh, come on, JavaScript, the weird parts? No. JavaScript, yeah, Anthony Alicea, JavaScript, the weird parts. There, he talks about the theory of JavaScript, and it's super freaking good. Let's go to the comments. Paradoodly do, rocking that mod. Thank you for modding, PD, and dropping the Nelson Norman group link. Just checking out the comments here. I saw Ian Bayless pop in. Ian, where's your comment? I know it's here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Tech Rally. Hello. If I didn't give you a shout out before. Tech Rally also has a channel, some pretty good videos. So check again. Tech Rally, I think you missed my question. Gonna paste again. Tech Rally, where are you at? Where's the question? There's so many. The live stream is popping. Understanding the weird parts. That's the one. That's the one. George Meehan Dev says, RTC, what do you think about learning accessibility? I think it is really underutilized as far as a teaching topic. I would like to see more accessibility topics in these coding boot camps. If you're working for the government, at least in the US, if you're working for any type of dev job, a tech job, you need to be accessibility first. It's a federal law. Accessibility, all web pages must be accessible. And I just think because accessibility is, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I just think it really, it goes by the wayside in a very unfortunate way. And alt tags are not the only things we can be doing to create a more accessible web. Now here is an interesting story. I came across this channel the other night. I was doing some research, and this guy, he claims he makes $500,000 on his blog a year, which I totally believe. I totally believe the guy. If anything, he's probably underreporting. Once you get to that stage, there's money being thrown everywhere. So it's probably more than $500,000. If he's made it that far, this guy's pretty good at what he does. So he was doing this tutorial on alt tag, or how to SEO optimize a blog post, right? And he was doing it in WordPress, and he goes to the image on his page, and he's trying to target his keyword. His keyword was, we'll just say laptops. I don't remember. He's trying to target his keyword laptop. So he goes to the alt image text area where he is supposed to be adding text for people with screen readers, right? Now this text is used for Google's SEO purposes as well, but more importantly, it's for accessibility. So he puts, the photo is of a computer, a coffee cup, and a table, and he writes laptop, or with the brand, like Lenovo laptop. And it's like, and he did not explain that this is for accessibility purposes for people with screen readers. He was solely explaining the purpose of the alt tag is for SEO purposes. And it's like, most people probably believe that as well. And it sucks because accessibility is important, just straight up, whether you're in a government job or not. An alt tag, yes, it's important for SEO, but even more importantly, it's for people with visual impairments. I see more people getting I see a lot more self-advocating, which I think is great. But I would like to see more accessibility topics in some of these boot camps, in these all-in-one courses. It's 2020. People have got to get updated with that. People have got to get in the loop with various abilities. Callie168 says the accessibility project is awesome. Documentation for accessibility things. Yeah, it's funny that A11Y, I always read it as A11Y, and then I realized like, oh, it's accessibility. Also ARIA, right? Yeah, ARIAs are another good thing. Or is it area? That's why I don't like doing live streams, because I talk and I can't pronounce. Fuzzy Ankles, oh my God, that username is amazing. Love the content. Thank you for tuning in. Savage Scientist, how's it going in Louisiana? Savage. Bayless Code says, tempted to learn COBOL since states are really desperate for mainframe devs, but it is so boring. Ian, I'm glad you brought that topic up. I saw this in Reddit the other night. Because of the unemployment claims in these various states, the government is on these mainframe computers, and they're just like totally overwhelmed with all of the new unemployment requests, and they are desperately searching COBOL programmers. And that is such a true thing too. Legacy languages, legacy tech is a big money maker. One of my dad's friends knows someone who works on mainframes. I think she repairs them in DC. This woman is making serious bank. You don't have to know JavaScript to make money in tech. I mean, but as Ian says, it is so boring. I just, I'm just reminded of like fax machines, broken dot matrix printers, and COBOL. It's like very 80s enterprise. It's not for everyone, but yeah. Hey, Paradoodly, can you do me a favor? Try and find that article where they were saying we need COBOL programmers. It's I don't know where it is. I forget. Sarah says, what are your thoughts on learning COBOL? Seems pretty unpopular, well, with everyone applying for unemployment. Yeah, I mean, right now it is, but also to realize COBOL, these old school programmers from the 70s and 80s are retiring in droves. When I was in enterprise, my first enterprise job, the guy I worked with programmed in an IBM, a proprietary IBM language. You will never hear the language talked about ever. maybe once or twice in a tweet from 8 years ago. This guy, listen to this. His dad was born in 1899. His father was born in the 1800s. This is how old this guy was. I was like, you are the first dude, you are the first person I've met working here in the workforce who has a dad born in the 1800s. Like, it's just like, dude, that's insane. But I mean, he was way past due for retirement, and he's not the only one. A lot of these people who got started in the 70s and 80s are retiring in droves, and they're programming in RPG, COBOL, BASIC, Fortran, Pascal, all these languages you've heard of in passing. They're not used to build the latest and greatest web apps. Of course not. We all know that, right? But there are a lot of places that still do. Even with IBM stuff, the AS400 server, there's a lot of legacy stuff going on in that domain, in that ecosystem. A lot of companies still use it though, and you can make good money. The problem is, as Ian explains, is that it is kind of boring. I shouldn't say that universally, but if you're used to doing web development, going to this legacy tech can be frustrating and boring. That is my experience with that. And if I had to go over and choose again, I would still stick with web development because it's more interesting to me. Christian says, let's see, who else says? Savage Scientist says, hello, RTC, I'm chilling here. It's hot in Louisiana. I'm old enough to be a COBOL programmer. Yeah, wasn't it like 90 some degrees in Dallas yesterday? I mean, I know that's in Texas, but we're talking Southeast Texas is swampy. Dallas isn't Southeast. I'll bet it was getting close to 90 in Houston yesterday too, if not the 80s. Oh my goodness, it is so freaking hot in Southeast Texas and Louisiana. I don't know how people go without AC. I seriously don't. I love this comment. Lord Ocean says Pascal was mentioned by the drug dealers on RoboCop too. Awesome. Yovan Jin says RTC, is Python just for machine learning and data science? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Python is used for everything, even web development. I flipped out on a live stream the other day because I just discovered Brython, which is browser Python. Brython, browser Python. It is so cool. Web development, data analysis, automation. Check out Selenium WebDriver. That's a fun one. I'm not saying go like check out and use it, but I guess I should rewind. That's something I've used in the past for different scripts and testing and just playing around with, and it's really fun. I mean, Python is everywhere. I love that language so much. Great comments, and for those of you just tuning in, today is the Friday fish fry for software developers. We are talking about anything and everything related to software development. We are chilling out. It's another week in the bag, in the books. It's past us. We are breathing underwater. We're going on minute 49 of breathing underwater. Let's go to these comments. Pop K Dodge says Python and Juniper Notebook is so good for data science. Yeah, there is this course on Udemy that is absolutely massive. This guy, now some people might know this name. Please help me out if you remember his name. His Python courses are really expansive. He has a ton of them and they're really popular. And he works for, is it Asperian Data or something? Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Help me out. His dark hair, what's his name? Anyways, he loves the Jupyter notebooks and all that other stuff. Yovan says, have you heard Cold Steel is in the middle of a massive overhaul for his web development course? I have not heard that. Now, are you talking about the one on Udemy? Because that's one I don't recommend anymore. And if he's redoing it, I would love to know. Because I have had to put that bootcamp by the wayside for better ones, like Angela Hughes, Andre Negoy, who I am hoping to have on the channel. I haven't even reached out yet, but Paradoodly Do actually suggested this to me. Why don't you invite Andre to the channel for a live stream? I would die. I'm such a fangirl. Danny says, any love for PHP in 2020? Danny, I have a lot of love for PHP in 2020. The problem is no one else does. Savage says, are you talking about Moshe? No, but Yovan is right. Jose Portilla, that's the guy. If you're looking to explore Python in a cheap way that's really comprehensive, check out Jose Portilla's courses on Udemy. As usual, they're like $12. He talks about it's just so much stuff. It's just so much stuff. It's out of control. Lord Ocean says, I'm just getting started with AWS Amplify. Any experience using AWS services? Quite daunting. Absolutely agreed. AWS, you can launch rockets on AWS. You can launch satellites. It's crazy how much crap you can do on AWS. And honestly, it's one of the few certificates that I think might be worth anyone's time. If you're trying to look for certificates where employers care, the cloud certificates are where it's at right now. AWS is my prime choice because there is so much to learn. Most people don't know what they're doing with it. I mean, I don't. I have an account with them. I started using AWS once I got an account with, what was it? The GitHub Student Developer Pack. I think they hook you up with free, whatever, their free tier. That's not quite free for normal people. But I started using it and I said, this is just too much. I don't have a business right now that calls for AWS services. Now, if I'm eventually perhaps, but right now I'm satisfied with my VPS. I like the speed. I like my setup. I like my security. I have root access. I have all the things I need for my needs. On AWS, it's just too much. It really just is too much for me. For so many other applications, though, it is a godsend. About Cold Steel, he said in an AMA on he did an AMA on Reddit. That's awesome. A couple months back, he was going to update it, and on a comment in his recent video, he said he was in the middle of updating it. The exact comment: I'm actually in the middle of overhauling the web dev course as we speak. It's a 6-month job, unfortunately, but so far it's coming along really nicely. Honestly, it might be too little too late. It might be too little too late, and here's why. Andre Negoy has really got his life on fleek. He's got his brand on fleek with the Discord, with the community aspect, with his own platform now, and with the integration of his other courses into his Zero to Mastery experience. And his bootcamp is just a titch better. It's just better. And if it takes 6 months to redevelop it, I mean, it's really gotta have to blow my face off for me to go back and say, you know what, Cold Steel is back at it. He really delivered on this course. I'm gonna check it out. That is the one course I will check out and really investigate. because it was a game changer for me. And it's still a pretty good course, but I just think there are others out there that are better, that are doing it better. We'll see. Time will tell. Christian says, yeah, I dislike Colt's focus on Bootstrap. I took another advanced HTML, CSS course on Udemy to learn more about Flex and Grid. In the end, I still learned a lot from Colt's course. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of information in there. Yeah, for the price of lunch. You can't go wrong. But over the time since its publication, there have been more people entering the game and more, I mean, for a long time, no one cared about web development. A long time. It's only been the past couple of years where people are waking up and saying, you know, I can make this career switch, I can make it happen. The burst really, I think, happened. I don't know if we've peaked or not, but as far as like boot camps, those are really in vogue in like 2014. I had a student subscription to the New York Times, and every week it seemed like they were pushing some sort of boot camp. And that's actually how I got turned on to web development, because of some dumb New York Times article on the front page. I learned to code article. I was like, what's this all about? That was really my first exposure to it, because I hadn't really considered it. Someone said something about Azure. Let's see. GTD says Azure is also popular too. Yeah, Microsoft, they have a lot of free courses on the Microsoft documentation page. Some are videos, I think some are videos, don't quote me, but they have a ton of free training on there for Azure, for C#. Even there's a course on Python over at the Microsoft education page. Yeah, unfortunately, Colt hasn't been updating his courses enough, providing enough support. IMO, he has the best delivery and presentation, but he just doesn't have the community going. Exactly. And that is such a bigger thing that's playing into people's coding journeys. The days of like reading blogs and being by yourself reading a book, they're totally over. And community engagement is such a huge aspect now, and we have so many resources for it. Discord, of course, email, instant messaging, Slack, and stuff like that. I think more and more students are expecting that, even with a $10 course. And I think most people would be comfortable paying more if they got one-on-one or had some sort of community where they didn't feel alone. Popk Dodge says Microsoft got a huge Azure office over here in Atlanta. Okay, so is that where they've sunk their claws, at least one of their claws, into the Atlanta terrain? Azure versus AWS is the battle of the cloud, at least in enterprise corporate world. Interesting. Austin, hey, how's it going? Tomas, welcome. Moshe H has some good videos. Yeah, Moshe, I have not really explored much of his material, but there's always stuff for me to do. So I'm gonna put, I gotta just dive into some of his videos one of these nights. Ryan says, welcome Ryan, how many years have you been a developer and how long did it take for you to feel confident as a developer? I'm just finishing my bootcamp and feeling the weight of everything I don't know. I mean, because I'm 100% self-taught, I feel a non-confidence pretty much every day because I'm doing new things every day. There are certain things in my life where I'm like, boom, 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 that are non-cerebral. But because this career field, because programming requires you to think in novel ways, in new ways that are solving novel problems, it can be very challenging. And so there are many days where I just don't feel that confidence. So just be forewarned, just be alert. A lot of people feel that way too. And like people talk about imposter syndrome all the time. I mean, that's a real thing. It definitely is a real thing. And I think a big reason why that does happen to people is because this programming, computers are literally infinite. You can't say that about plumbing. You can't say that about other concrete careers where if you have, you know, a process, you can continue to do it, whatever house. Like, okay, someone calls, they're missing a window. You'd know what to do if you were in construction, right? Like, windows are pretty much a window. But with applications, they're so different. There's thousands of technologies you can use. Like maybe my comparisons and my analogies aren't quite where they should be right now, but I think you know what I mean. There's just so much. There's just so much, and there's always going to be someone smarter than you. And I think that's where a lot of people come into feeling a little standoffish or like backing up a little, because there's always someone who's like, it seems like they have it made, right? It comes so natural to them. But what was your other part of your question? How many years have you been a developer? I have been developing since okay. Let me do the full timeline here. The spark started going like this and started going like this around 2014. And then there's 2 years where I was just kind of like going back and forth with it. I went to my first tech conference in 2015. I got my first JavaScript book in 2015. I started working enterprise in 2018. I mean, it's been it hasn't been, it took me about 1 year of nearly full-time study to feel comfortable applying to jobs. I was doing 4 to 8 hours a night, sometimes more. I was working odd jobs. I was a bartender during that time. And if you want shameless green screen product placement, if you want to know more about my exact journey, my exact process, check out Real Tough Software. It's my newest book on Amazon. I know this is going to be a total green screen moment now, so I apologize. But this is half of the book. Paradoodly do, pop that link, please. But from going to the point of hardly knowing anything to feeling comfortable applying to jobs was almost a year. I've interviewed with GitLab. I had an hour-long pre-interview with Netflix. I've interviewed with various companies. But ultimately, I decided to go with a company no one's heard of for various reasons, which I also talk about in Real Tough Software. But yeah, I mean, it's a lifelong journey. You're never going to stop learning. This is why I love it. And this is why other people do too, because you never stop learning. You never stop. And that's where it can get overwhelming. How much would you pay for a plumber versus a developer when you need your toilet? Just saying, I'd be shelling out like crazy just not to do plumbing. I gotta get on my analogy game. Andre is making a Node.js React Native course later this year, by the way, in case you haven't heard. Awesome. I did not hear that. I'm subscribed to his mailing list, but I haven't received. I haven't read that. Lardosian says, I'm scared of writing an info loop by accident and getting a bill of $500,000. Nice. Welcome, new people. I got some new people here. Sakajoa, what's up? Like the new background. Thanks. I felt like being crazy. I got inspired. Sammy Turner shared a meme in the Real Tough Candy Discord of a woman who turned herself into a potato. Have you seen that? It was so funny. And she couldn't turn herself back. And I said, I don't want to be a potato today, but I'll go for something a little more serene. It's from, Jovan says it's from his Discord. Okay, cool. Don Quixote says, I'm studying Cold Steel course because you said he's the best, and I think you're right. He is. He's one of the best. He is one of the best as far as getting people enthusiastic about software development and putting it on a level that people can relate to. I think that was a big revelation for me when I discovered his course. But as we've been discussing, the community aspect is missing. It's a good course. I mean, I've talked about it to death, so you already know. Kango71 says, I was a web programmer a few years ago and walked away to other paths in IT. I had a bad boss and bad mentors. I think that also makes a big impact. Yeah, that's a great point. A bad boss can ruin it. A bad work environment can ruin everything and totally just make you walk away and say, this isn't worth it. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to start fresh. I can't take it anymore. I can't tell you how many terrible bosses I've had, unfortunately. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like there is a certain type of manager, and I love management. Like management, their job is to make sure the company is running. And I understand management. I understand the reason for it. I like a workplace that is organized. I like a workplace that has things spelled out. But sometimes there is that brand of manager who thinks that being an a-hole means people are going to be more productive. And that is not the case. People don't respond well to bullies. People don't respond well to a-holes. No one wants to work for that kind of person. And unfortunately, we have these people like Steve Jobs, who by all accounts was a bully. He was a jerk. But because his company, Apple, is such a darling to most of us, that some people have adopted that style, like, oh, you got to be a total jerk in order to rise up, which is not the case. I have had one manager in my entire working experience who was absolutely golden. And that's when I realized it can be done. It can be done. You can have a successful company, and you can also manage your people in a humane, encouraging way, and still have everybody meet their goals, fulfill their dreams, and be better people. Unfortunately, you just don't see it that often. Managers get burnt out. Managers end up hating their jobs, and then they take it out on their people. But management is just, it's absolutely necessary. I don't even know what the original question was or what the original comment was. Oh, bad boss and bad mentors. Yeah, I mean, even getting caught up with the bad mentor, developers, they're out there. And I encourage everyone, wherever you are in your journey, to find a mentor. It can really help you, but you got to audit that person. Take them and interview them like you would interview an employee, like you would interview a job you might take. This is the person that could really make or break you. And being so involved in your developer journey, you want to find someone who cares about you and who isn't gatekeeperish, somebody who isn't on a power trip or who isn't a narcissist. Unfortunately, those types of people are everywhere, including software development. So if you are finding a mentor, if you're looking for a mentor, just don't be afraid to interview them. Just ask them questions, research them. I mean, shoot, even do a background check. There's no shame in that. Potato boss. Thanks, Paradoodly Doo. Appreciate that. Thanks for plugging the potato boss background. Okay, let's go over some more comments. Again, for those of you just tuning in, it is a Friday fish fry for software developers. Anything goes. Anything goes in the live chat. We are talking about it all. We're talking about programming interviews. We're talking about learning. We're talking about the cloud and different Linux flavors and plumbing. Oh yes, it's all here on RealToughCandy. Hey, Paradoodly, pop that Discord link one more time for people who want to hop on. Just noting, there are many other successful CEOs besides Steve Jobs. He is not God. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There are so many great business books out there. Has anyone heard of Brene Brown? I think that's how you say her name. She is, I don't know what she calls herself, but the way she writes about business, now that this isn't necessarily related to management, but her book, what I'm reading right now, is so good. It's putting a new perspective on management, on business, on life, and reconciling the differences between hardcore business and empathy. Like, there is a space for both of them. And the way she writes about it is absolutely brilliant. Cool, thanks, Paradoodly. GTD says, ignore the God programmers or those who have egos about how you program. Just do it. Just go for it. Yeah, that's such great advice. Like, there are people out there who are really freaking talented. Some people are giving with their knowledge. Some people share their knowledge. Some people want to advance others with their knowledge. But then we have people who are gatekeepers. We have people who treat this as if it's some sort of voodoo. And I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not voodoo. It's not magic. They're not gods or coding whatever. The second coming of the coding god. It's just code. It's just problem solving. It's not that. It is serious, but it's not that serious. You know what I mean? Pop K Dodge says innovation through design. Lardesian says, sorry, how do you pronounce your name? Lardosian? I'm a bit of a material UI fan, but looking at alternatives for a startup project because I'm not really a designer. Any tips? And design maybe. I have a few. Material UI is so cool. It was developed by Google, and the documentation, when I first saw it, I was totally overwhelmed by it, but the more I check it out, I'm like, this is actually brilliant. What is the other one? I'll have to get back to you on that. You know what? Let me research it right now. If I say I'm going to get back to you, I know probably I won't. So let me see if I can remember which one it was. Was it, does React have a UI library? Maybe that's the one. Or material. Maybe I'm thinking of material UI actually, which is a variation from my understanding of material design. Ugh, I hate trying to say things and give advice without knowing. Michael Hamilton says, so you're not a wizard, RTC? Where's my wizard hat? Oh my gosh, hold on, y'all. Michael, what do you mean I'm not a wizard? I am a coding god! That's how some people act in this industry. It is not healthy. It is completely for their own edification. Ignore those folks. There are plenty more people who want to help you. Was that mustard hat totally green screened? What's up, Hingle McCringle? We are talking about Friday fish fries for software developers, including UX UI. We're talking about it all. That we'll just say we're talking about it all. So I did a video. I'm going to switch topics quickly here and talk about this real quick. I did a live stream the other day about accountability. It was just informal. What are you guys up to? What do you hope to accomplish in April? We had a lot of people sharing what they hope to accomplish. And one of my goals was to publish 4 articles on RealToughCandy.com. George kept me accountable. George Meehan Dev kept me accountable. And I have since published I've published 2 articles since April. I have 2 more to go. And my new hire has published 3. So one of the new ones that I published was a review of algoexpert.io. I've been really holding back for the last couple of years on this channel talking about FANG level interview prep. But since Lucen and Adam came on the channel, and even before that, like this has been going in my mind for a few months, getting more diverse content out there. If it's not on the YouTube channel, then on the blog. And something I've been talking more and more about is interview prep. Coding challenges. So I recently did a whole teardown of algoexpert.io, paradoodly, pop that link in there. Algo Expert, I'm sure you guys have seen the recommendations for his videos. It's Clement. He is an ex-Google, ex-Facebook engineer, and he developed with his business partner, Algo Expert, and basically it's like 60 hours of video and like this huge interactive coding environment where you learn big O notation and you solve different challenges and stuff. There are many interview prep sites. There are many interview prep materials. In fact, we'll green screen this one just for kicks. Cracking the Coding Interview is one of those prep materials. This is a huge effing book. 700 pages. But Algo Expert, it's one of the better ones I've come across because I do review a lot of courses on RealToughCandy.com, but haven't really recently on this channel. So what I'm saying is I published 2 articles and I'm halfway to my goal, number 1. And number 2, if you're wondering about Algo Expert, if it's worth it, check it out. If you're looking for a coupon, I'm also, I signed up with Clement to be an affiliate because I like his program. There's a 15% off coupon somewhere in the article if you're interested. Okay. Developers, what do we got? What is the status in the comments? Andrew Irwin, how are you, Andrew? I never wanted to be the smartest guy in the room. Nothing to learn, but I have worked with several programmers who really thought they were. Yeah, and it just, yeah. I can't add to that exactly. Pop K Dodge, not gonna lie, George Hotz is pretty godlike though. Have you seen his live streams? Have you like some of his videos are absolutely entertaining. I've never watched a full one. But there was like a feature piece on George Hutch. This guy is he's really good at programming. And he developed basically his own self-driving car. And there's a video somewhere on YouTube. Paradoodly, don't feel obligated to pop all these links, but I'm just saying he is doing crazy stuff. Nomad Shay says, dropping for the first time on these live streams. Got diagnosed with MS recently, and you were pulling me through it with a lot of the old streams. I appreciate that, Nomad, and I'm wishing you the best of health with that. I have a family member who has MS also, and it's never fun being diagnosed with something you can't control. So I wish you all the best, and I'm glad these videos, you've been enjoying them. We're going to be doing more and more. Usually I have a set topic, but sometimes you just got to fish fry it. Does anybody have any Easter plans, by the way? Like, I don't even know. Easter is a pretty big deal for a lot of us. And yeah, it's kind of a buzzkill on Sunday, but I don't even know. Maybe I hope to do a live stream on Sunday. If anyone wants to join in Easter Sunday, have your quarantine ham and pop on to the live stream. Developers, Patrick Taylor is here. Clean Coders YouTube channel is putting out some great content right now. Clean Coders, who's that? Never heard of that. That's a new one for me. All right, developers, we've been swimming in the beautiful briny sea for about 75 minutes. Somehow, I'm still breathing. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to give a shout out to pretty much everyone who joined the chat today. It's always a new flavor. It's always something different. Karen's here too. Karen does not miss the party. Take care, RTC. Karen says, you too, Karen. Appreciate you tuning in. Tomorrow is going to be a little more civilized, I think. But I just had to have fun on a Friday night. All right, swim on and prosper, developers. We were just chatting it up tonight for about an hour, checking in with each other and seeing how it goes. Paradoodly-doo, thanks for modding. All right, guys, take care. I'm going to try and end this without being too awkward, but I'm sure I will make a fool out of myself. See you later. Peace out.